the Vikings. You need them to win tonight. You need them to play well.
Yeah.
So
the irony of it is if they don't and Darnold becomes a free agent, you can't afford him.
Correct. Now, the other one, and I don't know if this is even – I'll just throw this out there. I don't think it's possible. This is probably just me being silly and wanting it, although they're obviously with the injury now to Deshaun, perhaps things could be different than we thought. And we just heard the Browns carrying, I think, $40-something million of cap forward after those numbers were announced. So the Browns actually, once they make some moves, are going to have a little bit of room here. But, is there a world in which whoever comes down to Jacksonville that they're not huge? They're open to maybe acquiring assets for Trevor Lawrence. Is there a world in which that is a possibility? Because I would take him in
a second.
Yeah. Now, his cap number in 25, I just don't think they could move him. I don't think it's possible. The dead money's too big. Let's see if it's post-June 1st.
I don't think they're ready to punt on him either. I saw that report over the weekend about does he love football and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's what I say. Great.
Yeah, more of that the better. I don't see any scenario how Shad Khan is going to punt on him. He's a Georgia kid.
Dude. He's good.
Yeah.
JJ's the one.
JJ may be the one.
That's interesting. Now let me ask you about, as my expert. By the way, college football Nate on a heater. It's great.
Yeah, we'll get to
We're going to take that all the way to the bank. So Will Howard's got size.
Mm-hmm.
Does make some mistakes, but everything he does looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I think. It seems like he's a guy in the third round. Wouldn't he be?
Well, you and I were texting about that over the weekend.
Is he going to climb? Because if they win the national championship, it doesn't seem like it.
I don't think he'll test well. So I think he'll be.
When you say that, you mean?
I don't think he'll be able to. I don't think he will throw it to the perimeter with the velocity that they're going to want him to.
Okay.
He's a great athlete. He's going to run really fast. He'll do all of that well. But I don't think the arm talent is elite.
Okay.
But it might not have to be. I mean, there's a reason Brock Purdy was passed over by every team in the league. And I'm not suggesting he's going to be Brock Purdy. I'm not saying that. And I don't even know if it's Will Howard. But those type of guys are out there too. There are those type of guys that you can maybe stumble into. And with the right coaching, do you find somebody who's cerebral, who can, when schemed up in a wide zone play action, flip your head and throw to the open guy?
Yes.
That's the job.
Yep.
Right? That's the job. Another name I'm hearing a lot about is Jackson Dart, the kid at Ole Miss. Prolific player at Ole Miss. Threw it a lot. I've seen him play a lot. He is prone to mistake, but I also don't know how much of that is predicated on, their offensive style and them chasing games. They had some stupefying losses at Ole Miss this year, some really stupefying ones.
So 70% completions, 4,300 yards, 29 touchdowns, rushed for 452 and 3.
Yeah.
Averaged 360 yards per game, led the FBS. Is he a guy that's being...
He's more of like a second-round guy, like he could be the third quarterback in this draft. The thing is that's going to be polarizing is I think he'll have a chance to climb draft boards, whereas Milroe, I think, will fall on draft boards as we get closer. Milroe is going to take a very specific situation.
Here's what Mel Kiper joined Field Yates on ESPN's First Draft podcast on Thursday. This is what he said about Jackson Dart. The other quarterback I just want to throw in this discussion at pick 6 at the Raiders. We've thrown out all these other guys. I think a guy who's going to be one of the more underrated guys had a heck of a bowl game. I'm going with Jackson Dart. I watched him. I went back and cited him this week. I've waited and waited. He's my QB3, solidly my QB3. I'm looking at what he's lacking. He's a great athlete. He can run. He can beat with his legs. He can make every throw, make some wild throws, rolling left, rolling right. His accuracy was around 70%. Bottom line, Jackson Dart, I think he has the talent level, the mindset, everything to be a heck of a quarterback.
He's saying 6th overall?
That's what he just said. Solidly as quarterback 3, 6 overall.
Wow. I mean, that's high. Statistically, it's all there. Arm talent's pretty good. See how it all tests and all of that. But, yeah, I think there's some chances out there. But I think you have to swing. You got to take swings now.
That pick has got to turn into the quarterback.
Yeah, one way or another.
Again, we said it till we're blue in the face. The fact of the matter is that you, for the next, unfortunately, 10 years or so, we'll call it 5 to 10, you are going to have to deal with Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. And on a bigger picture, you're going to have to deal with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, all in your conference. And so until you get somebody that can go toe-to-toe with them or beat multiple of them in a row. For example, if Lamar Jackson wins the Super Bowl this year, he's going to beat Josh Allen on the road. He's then going to beat Patrick Mahomes on the road.
Yep.
And then he's going to beat, I don't know, maybe Goff of the Lions or a Jalen Hurts, people who have been to a Super Bowl before, most likely. Most likely. That feels reasonable. That's a heck of a run, but you need somebody that can do that if we're trying to be serious. And I think there's two ways to look at it, right? There's sustained success, which is playoff appearances, maybe you win one game in the playoffs.
That's
here or
Pittsburgh
there.
right now.
Well, they don't even win any games in the playoffs. Sorry,
right, but that's kind of their
They get there.
Operation.
Pittsburgh, it was Cincy with Andy Dalton.
Yes.
It's probably, honestly, the Bucks with Bake. It could be the Vikings with Darnold.
Yep.
You know, I mean, we'll see. He has a chance to prove everybody wrong and take that run. But the first three are pretty much on that. What are you necessarily doing there? Like, there is some fun to that, but if you're hearing, I mean, there are meltdowns in Pittsburgh right now.
Oh, yeah.
Guys never had a losing season. They want him out of there. By the way, they are who we thought they were. They were
are
not
the best
a good
version of what we thought they would be.
They started off, they took advantage of that schedule. They beat the people they were supposed to beat, but then they were not a good football team.
No.
They weren't. And the fact they had a winning record is kind of incredible.
I agree. And I think he had a winning record with Pickett.
With Pickett. Yeah.
I mean, it's been a long time since Ben was at his best.
Yeah.
Long time. And they don't really have anything dynamic at running back. Like, they don't have nothing dynamic offensively other than Pickens. Like, no, it's so interesting how we view that situation versus how they do. Like, they think they're entitled to Super Bowls.
Yep.
And you haven't had you win Super Bowls when you have Roethlisberger and Bradshaw. That's when you win Super Bowls. You have to have those guys.
Yep.
It's kind of that simple. We'll do a little of the college football stuff a little bit later on. Those are your hot topics today, presented by University Hospitals, Philshire healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. We'll go around the league. A lot of news in the league, including some news on the Cowboys job that is very, very interesting, and perhaps something, if you were paying attention last week, could come home to roost. We'll get to that coming up next on a Monday edition, Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, welcome back in. Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Let's go around the league, presented by Leaf Filter, official gutter guard of your Cleveland Browns. Mike McCarthy is reportedly out as the Cowboys head coach. Schefter was this. The two sides engaged in no discussion about a new deal. McCarthy is expected to be a candidate in Chicago and New Orleans. A lot of rumor that it's kind of been headed to New Orleans for a while now. One thing that I heard last week in advance of Ohio State, Texas, was that Steve Sarkisian could be the apple of Jerry Jones's eye in Dallas, and the Texas coach might end up being the coach of the Dallas Cowboys. The only pause I will say
What
to
about that toss?
This is the only yeah.
Does that help on the resume?
Probably not. The only thing that would give me pause about that is it seems to me that the Manning family gave an inordinate amount of trust to Steve Sarkisian to handle their prized pupil, and that they have given him a great deal of patience in having him sit for 2 years. And so for him to undo that, to me, coming off back-to-back national semifinal losses, would be pretty wild. They have the number one recruiting class in the country. They're big on NIL. Arch Manning's their quarterback. They're currently the favorite to win the national championship next year. Like, it's the Dallas Cowboys. I get it. But, like, he controls a lot of his own situation in Texas. It's really set up. So I don't know. That would seem like a bridge maybe too far. I get it's the Cowboys intoxicating for sure. And it's college football isn't what it used to be. But at the same time, he's really got it set up.
What do you make of the Bears? I read this, reportedly interested in Marcus Freeman and potentially other college coaches.
I could see them interested in Ryan Day.
Yeah.
And I think Ryan Day would definitely listen to that conversation if that's one that was ever proposed to him.
Only if they win the national championship, which they will.
We get it. I think either way, I could see Ryan listening. College football is a snake pit right now.
Never ending. You're on
no,
a hamster wheel.
I think it's nothing short of
It's a hamster wheel.
Remarkable how Ryan Day and the coaching staff down there has kept the eye on the prize through all of this. I mean, just think about this. Devin Brown is in the transfer portal. He's their backup quarterback. He's still the backup quarterback. He's in the portal. I mean, you want to talk about buy-in? Like, that's buy-in in spades. Like, he's going to miss his window to leave Ohio State in the winter portal, and doing so because they've created this team culture, all this stuff, and they buoyed together after the Michigan loss. So at the same time, the job, I mean, I'll be honest, it sucks right now. Coaching in college sucks.
Terrible.
So I think that would be a perfect spot for somebody like him. I think it'd be a perfect spot for somebody like Lincoln Riley. I think it'd be a perfect spot for somebody like Cliff Kingsbury. You go into there and you got this quarterback, you got these weapons, coach them up, and I think that's the way they'll go, is that way. You've heard a lot of people say this. I know Kyle Brandt said this, and he's from Chicago for whatever that's worth, and he said they expect a surprise in Chicago. So I think all of those things could be in play.
Yeah, they'd all be big surprises, I would say.
Yeah. So that's something to watch for there. But Dallas Open that's where I thought Belichick would go.
Still might.
He
Still
could.
might.
Yeah. Gerald will write that check for $10 million on the buyout to
for sure.
North Carolina. All the reading on that, though, seemed like he felt like he burnt so many bridges in the NFL that was his only shot. I'm with you.
We live in a society where success over trumps bridges and anything. Yeah. Why in the world, if somebody thought that Bill Belichick could help them win, he's for sure going to be involved in that, right? I mean, like, if you think he can win, you'd bring him in.
So this from Jordan Schultz of Fox. For what it's worth, Bill Belichick would have been interested in the Cowboys' job, and it's believed that Dallas would have been interested in him had he known the position would become available. Belichick and his camp never received any indication during back-channel conversations that the job would open up, which is partly why he ended up at UNC. Belichick has an excellent relationship with the Jones family.
There you go. I mean, that's why we always thought that all along, that would be the place. He could get the whole band back together. I don't think Josh McDaniels is employed anywhere, is he?
No.
You could do the whole thing. Like, you bring McDaniel back to run the offense with Prescott, and away you go.
I don't know. Gronk yesterday on the pregame was like, Patriots, hire Vrabel, hire McDaniel. I was like, never going to happen.
Have you ever listened to him talk?
Vrabel?
No. Gronk.
Yes. I know. Just go back.
He's a damn good football player.
Just go back to Nikki
Yes!
Glazer at Tom Brady's.
He's a
roast
damn good football
and
player.
her evaluation
Yeah,
of Gronk.
I think that was pretty spot on.
I think so too.
Yeah. That's where I'm at on that. Yeah, so that Cowboys job open, a lot of weaponry, quarterbacks locked up, star defensive players coming off of an injury-plagued year. You could bounce back in a hurry.
Yeah.
That feels like Ben Johnson to me. Wouldn't he want that?
I think he could want that, or he could want Jacksonville. Jacksonville's the best. I still think is the best job.
I agree with you, but I think that star's intoxicating.
It also would be
Big pressure.
pressure, yes, but you.
But
also,
owner's got a ton of patience. Like Jerry don't run coaches.
He does not run coaches, but you're not necessarily going to get what you want. You're going to get what Jerry wants you to have.
True. So that's why I guess because their roster's nice right now, and they're going to pick high. You could see it flip quickly
Well, they've got Dak can stay healthy.
if he can stay healthy. Yep. Mike Vrabel officially named the Patriots head coach on Saturday. His introductory press conference was within here the last hour and a half or so,
today.
right? It was right around noon.
Yep.
We will play New England at Gillette this season. Highlights from his presser. He was asked, how did your time in Cleveland help you evolve as a coach?
One, I realized that I
Got you down for this 2 minutes.
with everything that I had in my soul, that I missed having the opportunity to lead, to help put a team together, a staff together, that I missed that. But I also embraced helping out the players and the younger players that allowed me more time to try to develop younger players that were on the practice squad, whether that be with the tight ends or the offensive line. I really enjoyed Kevin's idea of putting a defensive coach or what would seem to be a defensive coach with the offense. I'm sure if you ask people in Tennessee, they would think that I was probably the third or fourth offensive line coach as much time as I spent in there, but I know how important it is to a football team and to an offense, and so really enjoyed getting to know those players and teaching them and helping the staff, helping the young coaches. It just reminded me of not forgetting, all the small little details, right, that are critical in coaching and teaching, to be able to work with young coaches and help them prepare, interview them, have mock interviews so that they could develop. I always tell them, no one had a worse first coaching interview than I did. And I think that's documented, but it was with Urban Meyer at Ohio State, and it was guaranteed to be the worst interview that anybody's ever had, and I got another opportunity 8 hours later, and I did a little better the second time. So I was able to work with the young coaches and really just get back to focusing on teaching and developing and what their style can be, and then the players of the fundamentals that are critical. Like we're going to play with detail, we're going to play with technique.
10, going up.
There's going to be a brand of football that everybody associated with our team or our fans is going to be proud of.
Did you see Taylor Lewan saying, like, this is what you're signing up for, kids?
So
You will win, but buckle up.
buckle up. So I watched, and I'm pretty sure it was did Will Compton play for him?
Yeah, they both were with Tennessee.
Okay.
And they do the busing with the boys or whatever, yeah.
So have you seen? I liked it on Twitter, so I was able to find it. But
I wish I followed you. I could see it.
I know if you did, it would have been great for you. But it was basically a 4-minute video of, I'm pretty sure it was Compton leading a team meeting as though he was Vrabel.
Oh, yes.
Inside look at a Mike Vrabel team meeting. It's 4 minutes. It is. Here, I'll retweet it right now for anybody listening.
Yeah.
It's hysterical.
Yeah.
Hysterical.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell that they love him, but that he is. Oh yeah, he's tough.
Tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
It's. If you haven't watched, give yourself 4
Look
minutes.
at her.
It's
the
great.
debutante.
The debutante
smile.
Look at that.
Got some painting she must going to be doing today. Don't you think?
Feels like that's in play.
That feels like when I see somebody like come do some paint. That's usually the setup.
Coveralls.
Yeah,
they call them.
That's sort of an outfit. A couple other things around the league. Eagles linebacker Nakobe Dean suffered a torn patella tendon. He's out the rest of the postseason, per Ian Rappaport. Eagles wide receiver A.J. Brown had an interesting moment. He was spotted reading a book on the sidelines after during their win against the Packers. Here is A.J.'s thought on the book, courtesy of the Eagles.
That's a book that I bring every single game. And, my teammates call it a recipe. That's the first time I heard that y'all got me on camera. But that's not the first game. It got a lot of points in there. It's a lot of mental game, a lot of mental parts about it. And, but for me, this game is mental. I physically believe I can do anything and everything, but, I got to make sure my mental good. It's something like how I refresh every drive.
There you go.
That was cool. And then I know he's like, people of all, it's going to be great for the author of this book because
killing it.
He's killing it. It's cool. Whatever you need to do to get yourself kind of grounded and get yourself into that best, mental headspace. He had one. I'm pretty sure, if I recall the timeline of it correctly, was he had that shot play where he was open. And the ball just kind of got overthrown and out to the right.
Yeah.
And they were saying, I think it was a Brady. Brady was like, oh, it looked like the wind got it or something.
Yeah.
And then he was afterwards sitting there. I think he was frustrated. He's like, okay, we dialed up a tush-push shot play.
Yeah, which is
and
we can run that once.
And I was open, running past it looked like a Mike linebacker who had no chance to run with him, and we didn't hit it. And I think he just needed to, decompress, get grounded. It's fine. He's a great player, and anybody would want them on their team. And, in fact, in many ways, his trade started the unraveling of Vrabel's Tennessee tenure.
Absolutely. 100%. And then it was finalized by Mike's comments when he went into the Ring of Honor in New England, which upset ownership, and that led to all of it. All right, the top plays of this football-filled weekend are coming your way next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Boost your game day this season with the Ballybet Sportsbook app. Place your first bet at $25 or more. Get $150 back in bonus bets. Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time for the top plays from this playoff weekend. Let's start with Justin Herbert. One of his 4 interceptions on the day. Eric Murray, our guy, takes it to the house to put the Texans up 20-6. Kevin Kugler on the call with Westwood One.
Herbert in the gun. He sends McConkey in motion to the left side. Along the right hash, awaiting the shotgun snap. Justin Herbert creeping up toward the line, leaning in. Now backs up, leaning back on his left foot, gets the shotgun snap. Looks to the left, pumps and throws left side. Too tall, and it's intercepted. Picked off down the sideline. Eric Murray, he's going to take it for a Houston pick six. Nobody laid a glove on Eric Murray. And a pick six later, the Texans lead it 19-6.
That's why we traded Emmanuel Ogbah for Eric Murray.
That's right.
Except we didn't get that version.
So Texans, the opportunistic, just like they were a year ago. You were exactly right with parallels there. I will say watching the game, and yes, my bias is that I believe that Justin Herbert is a very good quarterback. Will Dissly did him no favors in this game. 2 of the picks were like he didn't even touch that ball. That ball was not that high. It was like as if Will Dissly's a big man. It wasn't that crazy. There were some strange things that happened in this game. Will Dissly had a very rough outing.
All right, here's Derrick Henry through the Steelers defense, 44 yards. This one all but sealed it, giving the Ravens a 28-7 win. Ryan Radke, Mike Golick on the call for Westwood One.
1st and 10 from the Steeler 45. Lamar in the shotgun, 3 receivers to the right. Here's the snap. Jackson will hand it off to Henry. Up the middle, big hole. 30-25, down to the 20, 15, 10-5. Touchdown Ravens. Derrick Henry's 2nd touchdown run of the night. Bursting up the middle for 44. And the Ravens lead 27-7.
Absolutely just gassed them right up the middle. Lamar Jackson carried out a fake like he kept the ball and there were some eyes on him, but the middle was just open. Derrick Henry doesn't get touched until at least the 2nd level and then outruns the 3rd level. You had the linebacker following Lamar. Roberts following Lamar to the outside and just opened up the middle.
Time for Josh Allen looking for Curtis Samuel. Wild effort on this one to score from 55 out. This pretty much sealed it, put Buffalo up 3 scores. Chris Brown of the Bills Radio Network.
Allen back to pass, has time, and he's got Curtis Samuel wide open at the 33. Cuts it back inside at the 20. Puts on the Jets. Gets away. 5. Touchdown. Curtis Samuel, the Brooklyn native, goes all the way. 55 yards to Pater.
So, is it crazy to anybody else? And I think it's incredible that we ended up. I love that we got a 3rd-round pick for trading Amari Cooper, but Amari Cooper last year had 1,250 yards.
Yeah.
He set the single-game record for the Browns.
Yep.
Amari Cooper in this game played 27 offensive snaps. Amongst their wide receivers, that was fewer than Curtis Samuel. It was fewer than Khalil Shakur. It was fewer than Mac Hollins. It was fewer than Keon Coleman. So 5th in terms of wide receiver snaps.
Yep.
He had 2 catches for 8 yards.
I don't know.
I know that he struggled a little bit here at the beginning, but we also saw, if they don't call holding on Nick Harris, it's an 80-yard touchdown. I know he had drops here and all of that, but the notion that he's gone to Buffalo, who is in desperate need of a number 1 guy, and he doesn't really play. He hasn't really
had any impact all year, let alone in a playoff game. Like, has he had a single game where he had like 100 yards? I don't think so.
Does he have 2 or 3 touchdowns since they acquired
No, he
him?
does not have a single 100-yard game this year. His he had 6 catches for 95 yards against the Rams in a 44-42 shootout on December the 8th. Other than that, though, he has not been over 60 yards since his first game with Buffalo, which was October the 20th. 3, 55, 12, and he's caught a touchdown that first game. He's caught 1 touchdown since.
So strange. Would not have had
3, 55, 12, 95, 0, 0, 10, 56, 8. I mean, the guy was coming off of 4 of his last 5 seasons prior to this year. He had 1,100 yards receiving or more.
Yep.
Including 2 with us, 1,160, 1,250, and that was with like Jacoby Brissett and a little bit of Deshaun at the end. In Buffalo, he's averaging 37 yards a game. He averaged 41 with us. He's averaging 37 yards a game. I mean, he hasn't been below 68 yards a game since like really 2018, 2017. I don't even get it.
No, I don't either. Would not have had that.
It's stunning, right?
It is. Yeah, it is. I thought he'd be like his go-to. Maybe he's just not, I don't know. Makes you think maybe something's wrong health-wise. Maybe he doesn't have something's off.
I mean,
I don't know. He's older, but still, it shouldn't fall off a
30.
cliff like that. Yeah. Here's Dallas Goedert. This one from Jalen Hurts, 24 yards to the zone with 3 stiff arms on the Packers defender. This is Tom McCarthy and Ross Tucker on Westwood One.
Second down and 1. Hurts looks like he's changing the play. Plenty of time on the play clock. He's out of the gun. To his right is Barkley. 2 receivers to the left. Hurts throws to his left for Goddard. Goddard takes and spins. Goddard shoulders his way inside the 15. Stiff arms to the 10. Inside the 5. Touchdown, Eagles. That was all Dallas Goedert. 24 yards. And the Eagles are on top 16-3.
That was a 20-yard stiff arm. I've never seen that before.
Amazing.
I mean, Valentine's blocking him. Goddard stabbed him in the face 3 times. You're allowed to do that. You can't grab the face mask, but you can butt with your hand. He made contact at the 21-yard line. I've never seen that in my life.
4 postseason touchdowns for Dallas Goedert in his career.
Tom's a pro.
Tom's a pro. Ross is a pro. That was good. So far, Gibby, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like we're 4 for 4 on appropriate delineation of responsibilities in the booth.
All right,
I know 5. We're 5. We're definitely clip 6 is a definite yes. I don't know what clip 5 here.
All right, here's clip 5. This is Baker and Jalen McMillan with a miscommunication leading to a fumble on the the Commanders radio side of things. This is Bram Weinstein and London Fletcher. I believe played at John Carroll.
Yes.
Yep.
And Bram Weinstein, but he used to be on like SportsCenter?
He was on SportsCenter on Big 100.
First and 10, they're at their own 15-yard line. In motion, Jalen McMillan. It's a fumble, the ball's on the ground. It's out. Just Washington have it. They do. A turnover at the 13.
Just got punched by Flash. I just got punched.
Hey, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
That's pretty good. The pure emotion of that.
Yeah, that was definitely. And I've watched the video of this next clip, and yeah, I love it. I love the way Bram conducts himself. I like the emotion. London Fletcher is great. I liked all of it. I like everything they're doing in that booth.
All right, here's Zane Gonzalez, the play Z is talking about.
Step good, hold down, kick on its way. It is good. The Cardiac Commanders are the clutch Commanders. They do it again. We'll see you in Detroit.
And Zane Gonzalez kicks in the door and kicks us into the second round of the playoff.
That's great.
I
man.
loved that. Yeah, that had some pro wrestling vibes to it.
Yeah, there's
that
a
had
lot.
everything. But
those guys are having the time of their lives.
Yes, that's fun. That's
All right,
fun.
This next one, I'm guessing, is quite honestly, this is a top 4 play in the history of Ohio State, especially if they win a national title.
I can't.
And they
wait
have a
to
pretty
hear
good
this.
history. My guess is Gibby will not be fond of this. Not the Paul part, the background noise.
All of it.
Last but not least, here is Big Daddy Paul Keels on Jack Sawyer's legendary strip sack touchdown against Texas to seal the Cotton Bowl for the Buckeyes and send them to the national championship, courtesy of Buckeye football from Learfield.
Ewers set to toss. Ewers being chased, hit by Jack Sawyer, knocked the ball out. Sawyer's picked it up, and he's running down the right side. Jack Sawyer hits the 50-yard line to the Texas 40. Sawyer to the 30, to the 20 of Texas. Jack Sawyer is going to take it into the end zone. His second fumble recovery of the season. Jack Sawyer, Ohio State defensive end. He finally got to Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers. And Jack Sawyer races it into the end zone to give Ohio State a 27-14 lead over Texas.
Okay.
Was he by himself?
Did Skip Mossick tackle Jim Lachey in the booth?
That's
Did Paul
how they've
Keels
done
give
it
him
for
a stiff
years.
arm?
Like he always.
It makes you wonder. If
I don't know if
was
there's
he there?
ever been a call that Jim
didn't have Lachey on.
that Lachey wasn't on.
Okay,
And
hold
stepping on Paul.
This is what I think is so awesome about Paul, and I did have the pleasure of getting to work with him. This is arguably, it's college football Nate talking. Arguably, we'll call it a Mount Rushmore play in Ohio State history.
Inarguably.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe even the George Washington.
It's right there. It's way up.
Okay. Play Zane Gonzalez's field goal again.
And then
play this again. Just because the juxtaposition of these two and the energy and the joy and all of it is hilarious to me. Give me Zane Gonzalez one more time.
Step good, hold down, kick on its way. It is good! The Cardiac Commanders are the Clutch Commanders. They do it again. We'll see you in Detroit. And Zane Gonzalez kicks in the door and kicks us into the second round of the playoff.
So that has to me some of the joy, the hysteria. That reminds me of a different, same but different with like Jim. If Jim Donovan was calling a moment of that gravitas,
yes,
would be similar. This is a much bigger moment.
Hugely different.
This is a much bigger moment. This is to get into the second round of the playoffs. This would be the equivalent of this happening in the NFC Championship or AFC Championship, depending on your. Yeah. And in reality, we all know that was also the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And let's hear the voice of God.
Ewers set to toss. Ewers being chased, hit by Jack Sawyer, knocked the ball out. Sawyer's picked it up, and he's running down the right side. Jack Sawyer hits the 50-yard line to the Texas 40. Sawyer to the 30, to the 20 of Texas. Jack Sawyer is going to take it into the end zone. His second fumble recovery of the season. Jack Sawyer, Ohio State defensive end. He finally got to Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers. And Jack Sawyer races it into the end zone to give Ohio State a 27-14 lead over Texas.
Yeah. Yeah. Big Daddy, baby.
Smooth. He even was like, he got initially the fumble, a little, and then by the time he was at the 50, he's like, now he's at the 40.
Steady.
It's awesome.
Big Daddy, yeah.
It's awesome.
And it also is, when you do that job, you have to be authentic to who you are.
100%.
Otherwise, you have no chance.
You can't do anything else.
You listen to 850 ESPN Cleveland WKNR, Good Karma Brands station. We haven't even talked about the Ohio State game.
I'd like to.
In the second hour.
College
we have
football,
one
Nate
thought.
What are you worried about?
You
Nothing.
really did.
You're
One
welcome.
thought around every game in Wildcard weekend. A little fact or fiction as well. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Hey, Browns fans, this month's winner of the local business platform presented by Minuteman is Cilantro Taqueria. Cilantro Taqueria boasts 6 locations throughout Northeast Ohio. They stand as a testament to hard work, community partnership, and the vibrant flavors of Mexico brought to life in Cleveland. Check them out today. To learn more, visit browns.com/community/local business platform. Time for one thought from every game this Wildcard weekend. Hello, Gibby.
Hi, gentlemen.
Hello, Gibby.
Z, did you have a good weekend?
Had a great weekend, Gibby.
Good.
It was nice.
Wonderful.
Children's made a beef soup. They also made a new tweak to the preparation of it that really was delightful.
What'd you add?
So last time I started browning the meat in the bottom of it. Easy.
It's an easy fix, yeah.
So good. Sometimes the vegetables would get almost too cooked and they would disintegrate into the broth.
Sure.
Which can be delightful, but I want pure. So I actually had all the meat. Got some water in there, obviously, with the bones. Everything was on the bottom, and then I stuck like a giant, like a, those
like
pots have those inserts.
Oh, yeah.
So I put that, rested it on top of the meat, put the veggies in there, so they were still cooking with the soup, and the flavors were going and mixing, and everything's bubbling. But then when I wanted them out after an hour, I pulled those out, let them sit there, so they maintained. I could even slice a little bit, but it kept the broth pure, and it was. I mean, to say that it is a delight is an understatement of epic proportions. It was the best ever. I mean, it was everybody.
That was quite an experiment. I made that like 2 years ago. I made that beef
so
soup.
Good. I don't know your kids. I feel like you're
just don't. I don't know why.
Oh man,
I love a soup.
It's always soup season. I'm gonna have some more,
especially
tonight.
this time of year. Love to run a soup out.
I have
Worms.
Probably 2 soups a week. I would say at least
way more than that
one.
For me, way more. Yeah, I'm 2 or 3 soups. I made a delightful. Pasta fagioli last week, which was a delight.
I love a pasta fagioli.
Yeah.
All right, I made a pasta this week that I to be honest with you, I also made a homemade pho that was was really, really, really good.
I like it pho. I'm going to be honest.
I do
with
too.
you.
I prefer saying pho. I think
it
it's
was always
way more
pho,
fun.
and then all of a sudden, the last couple of years, everyone telling me it's pho. I don't understand. Yeah.
Pho.
Faux show.
Faux show. There's a great place in LA. So it originated with Miss K wanted a little like a carbonara, but as she is with child, the uncooked egg is problematic. Even if it's pasteurized age, could you get away with it for sure? But it's not worth it. It's not worth it. So I wanted to make something similar to that, and I just winged it. This is what I did. I got a half a pound of chopped pancetta.
Yep.
A little bit of oil. Got that all nice and good. Took it out slotted spoon. Like 3 good-sized shallots.
Yep.
Chopped up. 10, 12 cloves of garlic chopped up in there. Get those going for a little bit. White wine.
Yep.
Little chicken broth.
I like it.
Really reduce that down.
Mm-hmm.
Reduce that down. And then put the pancetta back in as you're reducing it down so all the flavors are good. And there's a liquid to keep the pancetta from getting too crispy. And then I had probably a decent, maybe a cup of grated Parmesan.
Yep.
Mix that around, a little bit of ghee to give it a little bit of fat and tie it all together. And let that go. Made a spaghetti. Took a ladle of the water into the sauce once it was almost done.
Sure.
That pasta water, a little starchy water. And then got the pasta in there, toss it. Oh, and at the end towards the end I added I pulled a rotisserie chicken.
Oh my God.
Hand pulled a rotisserie chicken, so got that in there with like about 10 minutes left.
Sure you did.
And then with about 4 minutes left, some frozen peas. And so it was basically like a carbonara. You had the pancetta, you had a little bit of but it was a sauceless. The sauce basically just evaporated onto the noodles.
Sure.
And the flavor was unreal.
That sounds pretty good.
I loved it.
Miss K?
House it. Miss K
Very
loved
big
it.
fan?
Oh.
Nice.
But I was like obsessed with it. I couldn't stop eating it. I'm like, it's so good. I need more. It was great. Yeah, so I did some good cooking over the weekend. That's always nice. It was nice to be able to just chill. It's amazing how long a weekend feels when you actually have the full weekend.
Sure.
It was good. Sad. Took Mindy down. We shared an embrace. My Christmas tree.
Oh.
You name your Christmas tree?
Well, it comes with a name, Gibby. When you go to Breezewood, which is a fine establishment.
Fine establishment. They
and
name
they go,
them,
there's a tag on it, and that's how you say, "Oh, I'm taking
Yeah.
Mindy home." Or one year we had
Greatest
Martin.
thing I ever did was stop going to buy a nice artificial one.
I did it too. I always went and we'd go chop it.
Yeah. I mean, my grandfather owned one of the biggest Christmas tree farms.
Yeah, and you'd go out there and do all that.
And I'm like, no more.
My
There is
kids,
nothing
it was
like-
me who was wrestling it all the time. Like no one else gave a damn. It's like,
Yeah,
okay.
no, all the
I'm
needles. You're still finding needles like in July.
We got a bad one. We got one bad a couple of years ago. The last year we had a real one, and like we were picking needles out of the carpet for a year.
Yeah.
We would run vacuums. I'm like, where are
Doesn't
these
matter.
coming from?
Yep.
All right, I'm good. That's a wrap. And
sad.
that's all I ever did was real trees. But I'm
Oh, sad.
One thought from
Hold on, I'm not
Wildcard
done.
Weekend.
Very sad. Very, very sad. Mindy was great. Got a new stand that was a game changer. I found the most annoying part of a real tree was the stand where you had to like screw the things on the side
Sure.
until they came in. Well, I found this one where it's a foot pedal, and you put it in the middle, and then you go.
and then it
and then
straightens.
they come in. It's all spring loaded and boom, holds the tree right up. And then when you're done with it, you pump it the other way. It lets it go. Pick the tree right up, out. I will
Did you
say,
burn it,
Nana.
I hope?
Nana. I took a lot of the needles and
I always burn it.
I
man.
burned
That
a lot of
sucker's-
it.
It's a
If I burnt
fantastic
the whole,
burn.
I burn it all at once.
I think I've sent you the pictures.
Oh,
When
yeah,
the
we always
last
would do it.
couple I did.
the fire department be in my house in 2 seconds.
Oh, dude. Last couple of years, we get a 10-footer. I haul that sucker out there.
Yeah, we have 9. We go
I,
9.
then
and a
I
just
half.
light it.
stand it upright. I stand it upright. Yeah,
Awesome.
Let the
Where do you
torch
do
burn.
it? Just in your backyard?
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
I don't know.
It's over in a minute and a half.
Oh, believe me, I know
Gone.
the stuff that I threw into the.
It's so ready to go.
I was.
You get snow
I was
everywhere.
doing this.
Nothing's going to
Yeah.
burn.
I was doing this with it. It was like
Yeah, it's
5
nothing.
pounds. It was easy.
Yeah.
But oh man, it was love it. And I got a Nana credit. Even Bryce, El Boods, Kayla, and Artie, everybody helped cleaned up. We got the needles up real quickly. We were good to go. It was
Nice.
great. It's sad though. For me, very sad.
Yeah, it is.
Sad.
I
love it.
Leave it up as long as possible, man.
Game number 1 from Wildcard Weekend. One thought: Texans 32, Chargers 12. Zagura, we'll start with you, and since you're the president of the Chargers fan club here in Cleveland.
Well, they need more weapons. It's basically Justin Herbert and Ladd McConkey. They don't really have a running back. They don't really have anybody else. Ladd McConkey had 9 catches for 197 yards. The next leading receiver was Will Dissly, who had 2 catches on 5 targets for 16 yards. Quentin Johnson, not a single catch on 5 targets, although one of them was a bad ball. Shocking how bad they were. I mean, if you would have said you can have Justin Herbert's interceptions over the entirety of the regular season versus Justin Herbert's interceptions in the wild card game,
Yeah.
I mean, the odds on that would be astronomical that he would throw more interceptions in one game than he did all season, but that's what he did, and they lost. They need talent. On the other side, Nico Collins is one of the best receivers, if not the best in the NFL. I'm saying that, and I know Justin, he's that good. And Texans were solid, opportunistic, took advantage of it. They didn't even play their best game. I mean, they fumbled right away,
Yeah.
right? Mechie on the first play.
Yeah.
Didn't play their best game, but Chargers, you need weapons. That's
You
the thing,
do.
man. You need weapons.
Yeah, you do. This was all. I mean, he was really bad,
He was terrible.
and I didn't see this. I mean, never would have guessed he would have done that. And they've got a little bit of a playoff hiccup thing. I know different coaches, but like they lost in Jacksonville. They were up huge in that game. They were up 27-7 at half on Jacksonville in that playoff game, and in that one he went 25 of 43, and he had weapons in that one, and they weren't able to close out that game. So, yeah, a little bit of a hiccup they're going to have to get over there. We're ready to anoint him into that elite because he has the elite talent.
He's got it all, but he's got to win.
He's got to get – he's a step away.
Up next, Ratbirds 28, Squealers 14. Bo Bishop, one thought from you.
A Pittsburgh Steelers defense gave up 300 yards rushing. That's the thought. That's a college football stat line. Baltimore ran for 299 yards in this game.
That's wild.
Against Pittsburgh. Joey Porter Jr., not that interested in tackling Derrick Henry, as it turns out.
Well, he cheats
What
on
about
every
the one
other
at
play
the end?
anyways.
Was that Kobe Trice? There was one where
On the long Henry run, like Joey Porter was like slapped him on the shoulder as he ran by. Like,
All right, I'm going to read you guys a list of names, and you tell me what is missing. Elandon Roberts, 14 tackles. Patrick Queen, 10 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss. Cam Hayward, 10 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss. Minka Fitzpatrick, 9 tackles. Joey Porter Jr., 6 tackles and a pass defense. Peyton Wilson, 6 tackles and a tackle for a loss. Deshaun Elliott, 5 tackles and a pass defense. Keanu Benton, 4 tackles. DeMonte Kazee, 3 tackles. Isaiah Loudermilk, 3 tackles. Cameron Sutton, 2 tackles. Alex Highsmith, 2 tackles, a sack, a tackle for a loss, and a quarterback hit. Miles Killebrew, 2 tackles. Larry Ogunjobi, 2 tackles. Dante Jackson, 2 tackles. That's who it was, Dante Jackson trying to tackle. Ben Skoranek, 1 tackle. Montravius Adams, 1 tackle.
I did not hear the name of the third best player from the University of Wisconsin in the last 15 years.
TJ Watt. Not
no
a
JJ,
single,
no Hoff.
Not a
TJ Watt.
single stat.
Can you give me
And I think
TJ Watt's last 3 or 4 games?
I think it's.
Is he hurt?
I think it's multiple games in a row.
It is.
That he has not had a single stat.
I wonder if he's hurt.
They kept working on his elbow.
Yeah, maybe he's hurt.
He had.
That's not like him.
No stats against Cincinnati. He has not had a sack since December the 15th against Philly. He had no tackles, no stats at all against Cincy. No stats at all against the Baltimore Ravens. Nary a single stat in back-to-back games. It's wild.
Well, hopefully, I mean, isn't tomorrow night the series finale of Hard Knocks? So you'll get.
So there is a Hard Knocks.
Is there?
Yes.
I felt like there had to be.
Yes. Yes, there is. And that's exciting.
I'll believe it when it happens. Bills 31, Broncos 7. Zagura. One thought.
Closer in reality, it was a closer game than this score would indicate that it was. But Josh Allen is a force of nature. I can't wait for the next game. The Ravens and the Bills is going to be unbelievable. I mean, it really was at one point, 10-7 at the half. And then it
was 10-7, but like Buffalo just was moving it. I mean, it was close in score, but if you look at it, like that's about it.
Yep.
471 to 274 total offense. Total plays 72 to 42. First downs 26 to 13.
Well, second half was
it's pretty dominant.
Dominance.
Yeah,
second half was total
was
dominance.
Wildly dominant. But it was 10-7 game. There was just one way. It all had to go perfect for Denver to win or even be in the mix. And after half, they weren't there.
Does James Cook not get enough credit for how good he is this year? 5 yards a carry, 1,009 yards, 16 touchdowns rushing.
Passed over for the Pro Bowl again.
He has scored a touchdown for those people who are interested in such things. James Cook, second-round pick, 2022. Back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. By the way, how many rushing touchdowns did James Cook have in his first 2 years in the league?
10.
27.
4. He had 16 this year.
Yeah, 27.
He had 2.
I think we would know him a lot better.
And 2. 16 this year. He has scored now a rushing touchdown in 5 straight games and 6, 7, 8 of the last 9 and 11 of the last 13 games. He has scored a rushing touchdown. Pretty good.
Yeah.
By the way, he's got 4 in his last 6 games, 4 100-yard games. Last 7 games, 4 100-yard games.
Also, good job out of Denver this year. They built a nice defense. They had some good weapons.
Nucleus.
They put a real veteran rookie in that he played 6 years of college football, but he played a lot of ball. They put him in position to succeed, and they made the postseason. And that's a big-time job out of them. New uniforms, new ownership, all of it. That's a big-time year for them.
Eagles 22, Packers 10, Bo Bishop.
It's wildly disappointing out of the Packers.
Yes.
I don't know. I just expected so much more out of them. And I know you were big on them in the preseason. I fell in love with them much of the season. Like, it just felt like they were a team that if anybody could be, that 7 and go track it down, it was them. I wouldn't have been, I think I said when we made our pick, I wouldn't be surprised if they won.
Yep.
Hurts coming off the concussion, all of that. But they just weren't able to ever get anything going in this game. And then Jordan Love threw 3 picks. So this is, the last 2 playoff games for him, just a dastardly interception in the San Francisco game.
Oh, man.
And now 3 picks in this game.
Here's
Tough.
Here's the thing. Number one, Josh Jacobs had an unbelievable big man run in this game.
He did. Yeah, he did.
Number two, in a game where it goes like this, I'm pretty sure Green Bay turned it over 4 times.
Yeah, looks like 3. Yeah, 3
and
picks.
3 picks, 1 fumble on the opening kickoff.
Yep.
And Philly did not. For it to have been as close as it was odd. Like, I came away from this game less impressed with Philly's performance in a game where it felt like they should have won. Jeff Hafley did a great job with Green Bay's defense, but here's the reality. There were multiple plays in this game where Green Bay had a chance to get into it, and little things went wrong, especially with a wide receiver named Malik Heath. Either his foot was out of bounds, he slips coming out of his break, the timing's off. Folks, in the second half of this game, when they were trying to make their comeback, they didn't have Christian Watson, who was out for the year. Jaden Reed gets knocked out of this game with a shoulder injury.
Yep.
Romeo Doubs gets knocked out of this game early with a concussion. You were down to wide receivers 4, 5, and 6 in critical moments, and you could see the lack of reps and the lack of those guys being together. And I don't know what's going on out there, but there's a lot of hubbub.
It's like we're presenting an award or something, almost like we're giving speeches or photographs.
It's a major award,
I guess.
That crushes you. Wasn't a good game, but they still had a chance, and there were a couple of 4th downs, one where the guy caught it for a first down, but his foot was out of bounds, one where he slips in the goal line when they had the perfect call, and the guy kind of slips coming out of his break. With his normal receivers, Green Bay might have won this game, which to me, again, I'm saying this is not a pro-Green Bay, but that's more of an indictment on what we saw from Philly. Now, maybe they are just rusty because they haven't had Jalen for a few weeks, but they need to be able to do more, certainly throwing the football.
Final one, Commies 23, Tampa Bay 20. Zagara, one thought.
Jaden Daniels is awesome. I mean, they could not run the ball in the second half at all, and it kept coming down to 3rd downs, and he's hitting McLaurin. He's hitting Diami Brown. The throw to Eckler, what a monster one for 18 yards there. Did everything he needed to do to win this football game, and that's exactly what they did. Again, good job by Zane Gonzalez doinking it in. On the other side, Mike Evans embarrassed Marshawn Lattimore repeatedly. Bake had a nice pass where he really threaded that one needle to him and played. It was interesting. I thought Bake played a very good game. He had the highlight run over Wagner, but the way they called the game was almost like they were afraid, even though he was 15 to 18. Watching the game, I wouldn't have known that he was 15 of 18.
I wouldn't have either, no.
He had a rating of 146. Now his QBR was lower significantly. And then it's, sloppy things, right? Bad coaching on the timeouts, bad coaching on clock management, and then you have the fumble, and I don't know if that's Bake's fault, if that's McMillan's fault, if it's both of their fault, whatever it is, but you can't do that inside your own 20. And then on the other side of it, you have the one where they snap it, the center snaps the ball, and nobody else was ready for the snap, and you end up losing yards and have to kick a field goal on a 3rd and 1. That was a big loss. Dan Quinn went for 3 different 4th downs in scoring range. He got one of them, net 7 points. He kicked the 3 field goals. That's 9 points. Still didn't work out, but they had been such a good 4th down team. I get it, and it ultimately ended up helping them. But if they had just kicked field goals every time, the opening drive to me on the road when you're down 3-0 is so important. Just tie the game and get that momentum, get points. They didn't go for it. Didn't cost them the game, obviously, but that was, I thought, a little bit interesting.
When Bucky Irvin scored to make it 17-13 in the 3rd, I went, okay. And I'd been so battered by the NFL that I'm like, I got an episode of Landman I got to watch. I'm done.
Yeah, how was the finale? No spoilers. Great.
It's just a lot of fun. It's just a lot of fun.
Have we talked about it? We're 3 or 4 in?
I don't know. We have not.
We should recap Ohio State, Texas next.
We have that too. We will do that. All right, there you go. One thought from every game this wild card weekend. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. OBM, the preferred provider of copiers and document services for your Cleveland Browns. They'll tackle any size office. Call 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. The Buckeyes are headed to the national championship following a 28-14 win over Texas on Saturday. It's pretty remarkable all of the storylines that lead into this one, but I think that the two plays that will go down in Ohio State history are 29 seconds left and the most perfectly executed screenplay I've ever seen. It's not like they caught Texas off guard. Texas had 7 guys back. They just blocked it perfectly, and Travion Henderson went largely untouched. It's not like Texas sent the house. They didn't. There were 7 guys who dropped into coverage. They were 3 over deep and couldn't make a tackle, and that flipped everything. They went from 7-7, Texas converting plays, getting a touchdown to tie it.
With momentum.
With all the momentum in the world, to Buckeyes get the ball to start the second half. Now Howard threw an interception, but that screenplay flipped it, and all of a sudden it was like, 14-7 again. So that was unbelievable. And then obviously the Jack Sawyer strip sack fumble. He's a fourth-year kid. He was a 5-star defensive end. He's out of Pickerington, which is a suburb of Columbus, if you're not familiar. He was part of Ryan Day's really true first recruiting class. Like the rest of them were giving a lot of credit to Urban. He was like the first one of those. He's told the story many times of his dad saying, hey, this is your first offer. We're not just going to accept it. And Jack's dad took a nap, and then he called Ryan and said, I'm in. I'm committed. I'm going to be a Buckeye. So that story's been told a lot. He came back saying we haven't won anything. He was one of the guys who said, We are going to beat Michigan. We're going to win the Big Ten. We're going to win the national title. They could not accomplish the first two. He's the one that went out in the middle of the field and took the flag from Michigan and tried to rip that thing apart. So the idea that it was him, by the way, he was robbed at this moment in the Michigan game by their offense. He did have an interception in the Michigan game. And if their offense handles their business, they win that game, and he was able to deliver on that promise as well. So that was very appropriate. And I think it's a top 4 play in the history of the program, and certainly one that's going to be remembered forever. If they win it. Now they got to go win it. If you don't win it, then it's
all right. So
it
you
gets forgotten.
The Sawyer play, my guess is and I'm correct me if I have this wrong, but the pass to Jenkins.
Yeah, Holy Buckeye is Craig Krenzel to Malcolm Jenkins. We got to be careful here because there's a recency bias, and I'm not going to pretend that I have an encyclopedic knowledge of, what Archie Griffin did in the Michigan games in the 70s or what Rex Kern did in 68. I don't have that. I don't know that. I'm just, in terms of now that we've been able to see it and the ability to have replay and YouTube and all of that, Holy Buckeye would be one.
Yep.
The other 3, I think, would be Sean Taylor, Maurice Clarett stripping the ball from Sean Taylor in the national championship game. They throw a pick. Taylor grabs it, and Maurice rips it out from him and changes that game entirely. And then I think the other one is Ezekiel Elliott, 85 yards to the heart of the South against Alabama in the Sugar Bowl in the national semifinal in 2014. And then I would put this one on that list.
So going back to the screenplay, because I said when that happened, I had no worries going in, but that was it. They were going to win the game right there because that's a throwaway screenplay. It really is. You're throwing it.
Yeah,
and
they
you're saying,
had timeouts. I think
maybe we pop 20.
Yeah, that's it.
Then we'll go try to get a field goal.
Yes.
But the idea that play was ever going to score was not on anybody's mind on either sideline.
No.
And it is an unbelievable job by the Buckeyes in execution and a horrifically bad job by Texas to allow, I don't care how well it's executed.
Yeah.
To let that go to the house under those circumstances is complete insanity.
Did you see the image of Travion's running down the sideline and the Texas coach is flat out on his back, like laying like this?
No, but it's appropriate.
Like what just happened?
Because it's a throw. It's like when you run. It's like in that situation when you run a draw.
Yeah, draw to the house.
It's unfathomable, and it changes.
Now, they executed it perfectly. They had all 3 bigs
for sure
out there blocking it.
But I think they got go to the house.
No, I think they got 3 of the 4 blocks perfect. I think Carson Hinsman blocked 2 players on that play, which is crazy, absolutely crazy.
Should not go. None. That was huge. And then that play, if you think about it, why was it so big? At the end, it's 21-14 when Sawyer gets the sack. If it was 14-14,
yeah,
Texas might be running different
totally
plays.
Different sets.
It's a completely different ball game. That Travion Henderson play was so massive to the outcome of this game. If you don't score there and then you do throw that pick, they've just scored, you've thrown a pick, momentum, all of that stuff that matters. It becomes squeaky bum time. Even at 14, it's squeaky bum time.
Oh, yeah.
But because it was 21-14, you're feeling good. Okay, the best they're going to do is tie us here. But also, they're a little more desperate. They've got to get it into the end zone, and that allows for the sack strip, scoop and score. But that Travion Henderson, that is one of, and it's not on our list here, and it wouldn't be. But when you think about the way that game flowed and the outcome of that game, I'm not saying the Buckeyes don't win without it, but that play was so massive in every respect because it's basically getting a free 7 points that you were not counting on.
Yeah, for sure. Total. Yeah. And there was so much
zapping their momentum.
There was so much NFL talent on the field. The Texas secondary is legit as can be. They get the Thorpe Award winners in that secondary. They got another guy who's going to be a top 2 NFL draft pick in that secondary. They basically bracketed Jeremiah Smith everywhere he went.
Of course, as they should.
They had 3 around him always. They never allowed anything over the top. And I thought Will Howard played really well, save for 2. One that was the interception, the other one that could have been, when it was like he thought he saw. It was like, if I have Jeremiah one-on-one, I throw to him. Like, that's very clearly, like, that's the rule. And twice Texas baited him into thinking he had Jeremiah one-on-one and then dropped a linebacker. The one time he barely got it over the linebacker's hand, and the other time he didn't. And so they did a great job defensively of keeping everything in front. Tyvis Powell was saying this, great friend of the program. They played the Buckeyes the way teams play the Chiefs. Like, you have to sit there. It's death by 1,000 cuts. You have to take the underneaths. You got to take the overs. You got to take the run plays, the screens. We're not giving you anything deep ever. And they didn't. No. There were no shots to be had. Now, Texas has the secondary talent to do that. I don't believe Notre Dame has that secondary talent. They're good, but not that level.
So the other thing is I thought this was going to be a big Ibuka game, 5 catch, 51 yards. Carnell Tate, you got to give him a ton of credit for the way that he played.
One in the end zone, too. Right off his hands.
Right off.
Slant.
That was early, right?
Yeah, early.
Yeah, should have caught that. But to recover and be the leading receiver in that game.
Well, he's a pro, too.
For sure.
They got 3 NFL receivers.
I mean, Tennessee, he had 1 for 18, Oregon 1 for 10, and then this here goes 7 for 87, and in many ways, carried the passing game in a game in which, Jeremiah did not because of what they did. You needed those other guys to step up, and they did, and they won, and that was really big in that game.
Buckeyes big favorites over the Irish. A week from today in your national championship game. We'll do a little fact or fiction coming up next. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Car, truck, or motorcycle accident caused you injury? Call the injury lawyers at 1-800-ELK-OHIO for a free case for you. Elk & Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time for a little fact or fiction. Hello, Gibby.
Gentlemen, hi. Let's get right down to it. Fact or fiction?
Let's do it.
Fact or fiction?
There we go. Washington can go into Detroit and win.
Fact. Definite fact. I like this Washington team. I like Jaden Daniels. I think they absolutely can go in there and win. Do I think they will? No. I still think Detroit's fair, but I think it should be 4, 3.5, not almost 10.
I think, to me, it feels like 6.5. Rest, veteran, buzzsaw, home, all of that. That Detroit team can house people.
They can.
Daniels has been incredible. CJ was incredible at the end of last season, too, and then you get to that game, one more game. So we'll see.
The one thing
I don't think it's going to happen. I think Detroit will take
I
care
do
of the
think
business.
Detroit will win, but of course the answer is can. Yes, any team can beat anybody on any given
yeah.
Sunday, but I think they have a better chance than
Except
they are
Pittsburgh and Baltimore.
Yes. I think Pittsburgh did beat Baltimore.
I mean, last week.
Well, not last week, no. I think they have a better chance than they're being given credit for. Here's the thing. If this game is close in the fourth, this Washington team has won more crazy games than any team in the league. And if it is in that, all the pressure, the weight, the magnitude is going to be on Detroit. Not to say they can't come through, but one thing that this team has proven that they can do is they can win shootouts. And I think a Detroit-Washington game has a chance to be a high-scoring game.
Yeah.
Banged up defense on Detroit. We know that. They know how to win those games. And I think the pressure on Detroit, it feels like this is their year. It feels like they're the chosen ones. The pressure would be a horrific one and done.
I don't know who's in charge of it, but they need to get that sucker rebranded right now so that they can take advantage of all this momentum.
Yes, and
correct.
Commanders is not it.
Yeah, that ain't it. So get it sorted quick.
Next.
Fact or fiction?
This current version of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers has hit their ceiling. Fact or fiction, Bo Bishop?
Yeah, I mean, fact for sure. They're up against it. That Mike Evans can't continue to get better. I mean, it's already he missed some games, so that version of it is gone. And he's such critical to what they do. So yeah, I think no question, this is fact. This is the ceiling because Carolina's going to come, Atlanta's going to come. It'll be tougher and tougher and tougher. They should, yeah.
Here's the thing: Vita Vea is going to be 30. Mike Evans is going to be 32 next year. Levante David. Those are probably the three when you say those are the three principal players. Levante David is going to be 35
I was going to say
year.
he's 34 right now.
He's 34 in 356 days. So January 2030, he'll be 35. You know, they've got Antoine Winfield, yes. They've got Bake, but McMillan's a nice player. Bucky Irving's good, yes. But a lot of the guys that are their core, especially on the defensive side of the ball, are not the youngest players around. And it just feels like, Atlanta, I feel like, is going to be on the come up. They've got to change their coaching situation, I think, to be serious. But I'll tell you what, I think Tampa needs to. I think Tampa gets rid of Todd Bowles, promotes Liam Cohen, who's the OC, keep him there, keep this thing rolling on offense because you're getting the best of Bake.
Okay, since we're up against it, rank the following guys most on the hot seat. Tomlin, Bowles, Sean Payton I'm going to throw up there.
Okay, Bowles is the only one on the hot seat.
None, a little none.
I think none.
Tomlin's retained. I think Sean Payton gets anything he wants in Denver. He picked his quarterback, and they made the division. I think he's got about as much call as anybody. And then Todd Bowles, I would think he would be number one.
Denver completely overachieved.
Yeah.
I mean, people thought they might have a top 5.
I mean, he vouched for Knicks,
and
then they made the postseason in a tough division. So I think I'm
calling it right now.
All good.
Tomlin will be back. Payton will be back. Bowles will be fired.
The Steelers have already said he's back.
Yeah, he's back.
He's
Payton's
done.
back.
Yeah, no seat, no hot
Bowles
seat.
is fired. I think he's fired. I think he's going to be
They're in a spot, folks. Tampa Bay's in a spot because, what do you to our earlier fact or fiction, this is the ceiling. You're doing it. So, you're not going anywhere further than where you are right now. You won a playoff game last year.
You did.
Was it last year?
Yeah, you beat Philly.
Beat Philly last year. You did it, ran it back, did it again, got to the postseason again. but it's clock's ticking, and there's a ceiling on it.
The only reason why I put Sean Payton on there is the Broncos struggled in that month of December. Like they had to beat a Kansas City team that didn't play anybody.
Wasn't it a brutal stretch? Like they had Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
KC, Cincinnati.
They
I think
beat
their last
Indianapolis
month was
to
pretty
end
bad.
Indianapolis, right?
All right, their last. All right, here's their last four. They went Raiders, us, Colts, and then their last three was at Chargers, at Bengals, both playing for their playoff lives. They lost by 7 at Chargers, 6 at Bengals, and then they beat Kansas City.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, they were playing two teams pretty desperate, who were better than them, more talented.
More talented,
Yeah,
for
more
sure.
talented teams.
But they smoked the Colts game. That was really the one they had to have, and they beat them 31-13, smoked them.
They did. Yeah, part of 4 straight wins. Beat the Falcons, Raiders, us, and the Colts consecutively.
We'll get to a few more of these later this week. Guys.
Field goal away from beating Kansas City. Remember?
There you go. So much more to come. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, there you go, kids. We're back tomorrow. Season review edition of the program. The next level is coming up next. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.